It's that one.
So don't go to the track today.
Yeah.
You had a 50-50 chance. All right. Hey, Nathan. We're gonna call this meeting to order. Any changes, questions right on the agenda? Okay, is there a motion to approve May 12 meeting minutes?
I move we approve the May 12 meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Anybody for public comment? No, just us and our lonely selves, okay? We're recording, right?
We are recording.
Okay.
Is Ann when on the call?
She is not, is Ann in the waiting room? Can you check that to make sure?
Is
Check the waiting room. The waiting room, it pops up right here.
No, it does.
and
Hit participants just to make sure. I think it's us and,
It's us and Nathan.
yeah, just to be safe. Thank you.
we don't have Commissioner Ath on the call either.
No.
Okay, all right.
And good.
All right, updates on vacancies.
So we're scheduling an appointment with a potential social worker 3. I finally got approval to post, well, pre-approval to post for the peer recovery coach, which I had posted twice before. And I was doing it wrong, so now we'll do it right. And
Think about the administrator.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
yes, no, it's just DOP sometimes can be difficult to work with. It's a learning process. So I had to actually add a position for the peer recovery coach, request an additional position within the health department to be able to post for that. And I didn't know that at first. And so they let it go twice, and the second time they caught me and they say, hey, you need to do this. So now it's been done and we should be able to post beginning next week.
And I have 2 potential peer recovery coaches who are interested.
And we might be able to get this up and running before fall, before the end of summer. I hope that would be the goal.
What exactly is a peer recovery coach?
So a peer, in this case, is a peer, meaning someone who has had lived experience with addiction. Usually meaning someone that has themselves been in
Gotcha.
substance use disorder. So, and occasionally it can be someone who has been family. You can extend that to someone that has lived that experience in their environment, but most often it's someone who is in recovery themselves and has gone through various levels of professional training, and to be called such, there's actually a certification, there's national and state certification, so all that, so it's not just anybody.
Okay. Do you have to hire somebody who's certified, or can it just be somebody?
So
got a
to,
good practice
so
out there and
right, so it depends on, whether they're a state employee, such they would have to be certified to qualify for certain grant monies, depending on how it's written or what we. But you do want somebody who has had the training, learning confidentiality and all that. It's different than your life on the street.
yeah.
So it's there are different certifying agencies who fight over whose is better, just like everywhere else.
Any other questions?
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
Charlie.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning. All right, so we're gonna go over the April 2023 key metrics. Bank balance at the end of April is $548,000. We're in compliance with reserve requirements by over $598,000. Yeah. As far as so just looking at the month of April alone, revenue was under $100,000. Salaries and wages, $84,000. And then we're gonna reduce that number again by operating expenses of $26,000, leaving us a deficit for the month of almost $11,000. So I think last month we saw that in April because we had a preliminary report, there's a little bit of a surplus, but we got all the expenses in there. So we do have a deficit for the month of April. So fiscal year to date, as of April 30th, 2023, revenue is about $1.2 million. That is 8% below what we have budgeted for the year.
So we're running ahead, roughly,
And actually, when I see it.
or in line, actually.
Right, for every.
We're running in line, yeah, because we still have the month of June and May and June.
Below.
Oh, you're talking about, but you're not against the year to date budget number.
Yeah, the year-to-date budget number.
Okay, so you're comparing.
Yeah, is.
I was in another board and heard it's completely different from
Oh,
another
it's-
CPA and I'm not lying, it's like.
So,
Actually, when I see 10.6 as the deficit and a receivable of 276, that's.
yeah, I'm,
shady.
the money's there for us to get.
Yeah.
So-
And we'll talk more about that in May. So salaries and wages were at, $842,000. So that is less than what we budgeted by about 13%. Operating expenses, about $300,000, and that is above what we budgeted by 34%.
Yes,
But we still, as of April 30th, we still have a surplus of about $10,000. Accounts receivable, we're at $276,000. Almost 110 of that is state of West Virginia. Everything else is less than 10% of the receivable balance.
Is state of West Virginia gonna pay up before the end of the fiscal year, since it's also their fiscal year?
we can, that, we're gonna talk about that in May. In the May financials, because June is a fussy month because we have to bill everything before the end of the fiscal year, but we won't receive payment for that probably until July or August. But we can bill it as an accounts receivable so that it, when it does come in, it credits to the fiscal year, to fiscal year 23.
And if we go to the last page, of the financial report, we have year to date as of April 2023 compared to April 2022. As of April 2023, as we discussed, we have a surplus about $10,000. As of April 2022, we had a surplus of $3,600. So we're still turning a little bit ahead as of April.
But how does that work? If we had a deficit for the month of almost 10,000,
Mhm.
how did our surplus increase?
So year to date, so
Oh,
for April alone, we had a deficit, but year to date, we have a surplus of about 10,000. The numbers are just so similar, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions on April 2023?
No, we need a motion.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes.
And now we're gonna go over preliminary May 2023. We are still in compliance with reserve requirements in excess of $159,000. Now just looking at May alone, the month of May, revenue is 700, I'm sorry, that'd be wonderful.
That'd be incredible.
That'd be pretty awesome.
$74,000. We're gonna reduce that salaries and wages of $84,000 and operating expenses of approximately $20,000, giving us a deficit for the month of May of $30,000. So going to May 30th, year to date. So yeah, we have revenue of $1.2 million. And that is below what we budgeted by 10%. Salaries and wages, $926,000. We're still below budget there, but we budgeted by 14%. And operating expenses, $320,000, and that's above budget by 33%. Giving us a deficit year to date as of May 31st, 2023 of almost $20,000. Accounts receivable is $282,000. Of that, $155,000 is state of West Virginia.
How much?
$155,000, and we billed out about $48,000 during the month.
Is there a correlation between the increase in the deficit and the increase in the AR?
No, so the revenue is already in that revenue number. It's just not reflecting in our cash balance right now.
So,
And the biggest, so if we look at this year compared to last year, one of the biggest differences in timing of grant revenue. So last year in May, we received about $54,000 in ELC grant money.
That's the COVID grant.
Yeah, and so, we didn't get it in May this year, so hopefully, we'll see that in June of, June 2023,
Yeah, so.
along with some other grant
Yeah,
revenue.
this is the fiscal end of year grants will be billed this month. And they will be reflected in the June report with accounts receivable with the state of West Virginia. That includes 2 state pass-through grants from the federal government and then 1 from the National Environmental Health Association, which is actually quite sizable, which needs to be billed before the end of this fiscal year.
So this month, then
Once they're locked in.
our initial expectations that we would see more of a surplus in May, but it sounds like we're really gonna see that ramp up in June of this year.
I don't remember what we did last year, but we do we do an approval of financials for the full fiscal year? Or is it just we finish out June and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a regular June.
Yeah.
The June, we
Yeah,
don't do a
expenses
separate,
up
okay,
now.
that's fine.
And then there's a reconciliation of the fiscal year.
Yes,
Well, then we have the
sometime in
audit.
July.
Right.
July,
then we have
August,
the audit.
yes.
Completed.
Yeah, okay.
and it won't be locked in at that number in July, August, because there'll still be dribs and drabs coming.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, like, I just
But
want
we
to.
could have we can have a very solid
Mhm.
number, say it's very close to this number.
But we're gonna
for the
see
fiscal
an
year.
actual final number.
Absolutely, and you saw, I think it was in August of last year.
Yeah, I
actually.
couldn't remember what the timing was. Okay, thanks.
And
Any
then-
questions on May 2023 financial report?
how, just as or do you think we'll be able to close the gap by the end of the fiscal year?
It sounds like we will be able to.
I think so too,
Very good.
and probably roughly the same budget surplus that was predicted in last year's budget. Somewhere within $10,000 of that.
Fine.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are we got next?
Reappointment of the health officer. Appointment or reappointment of the health
Okay,
officer.
go for it.
So quickly, under chapter 16. Rule 2, section 12, local health officers are a local board of health shall appoint a full-time or part-time local health officer. The health officer shall be a physician or a licensed advanced practice registered nurse. That's independently licensed in the state. And just for a reminder, a local health officer serves at the will and pleasure of the local board for a term of 1 year and is eligible for reappointment at compensation determined by the local board of health.
No term limits?
1 term,
It's a term.
but no term, no max term in the terms.
That's what.
Yes,
Yeah, so
no
I am
term
not
limits.
protected as far as ongoing employment.
Correct.
Division of personnel,
He's in-
You're up at the end of June?
The end of June,
We need to.
and our
review.
bylaws also say it's a yearly appointment.
I move that we appoint Dr. Reedy for another year's term as our health officer.
With the salary is in the budget.
With the budgeted salary.
With the budgeted salary.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, quickly on the local health administrator. I'm technically grandfathered in according to Division of Personnel, but Dr. Reedy and I agreed that it probably would be best if the Board of Health did a public appointment of the local health administrator, just because the new rule is in effect starting May of this calendar year. So,
Which compared to the old rules said that we would
Employ, yes.
employ administrator.
Right.
This one, so not the code, but the legislative rule,
yes,
says that the board will appoint the administrator. Period. It doesn't say for 1 year term or anything, so it would be essentially they're involved in the
The approval.
selection. Then he, after his 6-month, which he's already gone through his 6-month probationary period as an employee, he's under the Division of Personnel rules as far as rights and responsibilities and all that.
so I brought this to personnel relations at the Division of Personnel to get clarity in and around this new rule. They actually had not seen it themselves and had to deal with it. We were the very first organization to question on this, and they came back and said, I would still be a classified employee, nothing would change for me. And even if you didn't appoint me, I would still be employed because I'm grandfathered in technically, but we want to make sure that it's on the up and up and that everybody understands that if you're happy with my performance, that you'll agree to appoint me. Going forward, however, if there's a replacement for the local health and for myself, a new local health administrator, that would be a direct appointment. And I guess in that situation, the Board of Health could then not appoint if they were not satisfied with the selection.
So you have the option of appointing or not appointing. At this point, whatever you.
Correct.
decide.
So this is the new
So
rule.
what's the point?
It's, well, if you're okay with me, then you give me a little bit of vote of confidence,
Do
which
do
is
we
wonderful.
not just go on and make a motion and do this?
I'm waiting.
I move that we appoint Gina Cisco as our health administrator at the salary also that was listed in the budget.
Since I'm the only other one here, I'll make that second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right,
Thank you. It was definitely clunky, but I think Dr. Reedy and I agreed that it's best to have it above board and
don't worry, we
public.
got it, let's go.
Especially since the division personnel doesn't know better.
Right.
Go ahead, Nathan. Nathan might have something to say.
No, I mean, I concur
We
with
need to
your
appoint you,
analysis.
Nathan.
No,
Okay.
I don't think I'm the person for that job, but I think that I concur with everything that all their analysis on this issue.
Thank you. All right, agency reports.
So Gillian is not here today to do the environmental activity report. But quickly, I can review that for you. A couple things I'd like to point out is all the pools are open in the county now, and they've all been inspected. That's not always an easy thing. Some of these larger pools take multiple hours to properly.
So you
Vet.
pooled your resources.
We did, all three of them, all three of the pool, or all four of our pool operators were
I
out and
didn't know we
about.
had that many.
Yes, there's 11 of them.
Really?
Yes. It's surprising, excuse me. So I thought that was kind of cool and interesting. I had never really seen that. We're on pace with septics and well permitting and things like that. Typically that speeds up, and I suspect it will going into July and
I was gonna
August.
say, so the big development you were talking about that just got approved probably in the last 4 months, has that come through or is that reflected yet or?
Some inspections have been and permitting have been done in there, but not a huge amount, just the beginnings of that.
Where is that?
I don't know, you just told us there was something approved.
There's several, actually.
Yeah.
There's several that were approved recently. So that's really the big ones. We're hoping, I'm continuing to encourage them to get out to the restaurants, we still have a backlog of restaurant inspections that need to be taken care of. So we are hoping to continue to do that and speed that process up and focus on it and put some concentration on that. So really nothing unusual about the environmental side. Didn't see anything strange, which is nice.
Are you also going to do the threat preparedness activity report?
Yeah, I can read it off. We want to move to that real quick.
We've read it. So.
Yeah. Our threat preparedness officer is out in the field right now coordinating with Red Cross. That's why he's not here today. He's actually not on vacation or anything. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
So he's outstanding in this field.
He is. He actually is outstanding in this field. Clinical, Dr. Reed, you want to cover that real quick?
So clinical, we have not had anything remarkable at a increased number of pre-travel consultations and vaccinations. So the travel industry international travel industry is thriving, and and we're having to adapt our capability to provide this in convenient and manner, and I think we're doing pretty well. The vaccinations, not much. We did have, as you can see, 21 COVID vaccines, which was higher than I would have guessed we would do. I suspect this fall there'll be more information about new vaccination formulations and ongoing information about whether there's benefit from further vaccinations or not. So far, the number of cases requiring hospitalization remains quite low. The periodic reports here and there about increases in other parts of the world, but that's we will see. I hope it stays low for lots of selfish reasons.
Right.
Very good.
Epidemiology.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen real quick, so bear with me. Man, was a little more painless than I thought. All right,
Speak up.
so. Are they even to see it?
Just click that little on the left there, yeah.
Okay, so the epidemiology report for Jefferson County. We're just gonna kind of go over the basics, the respiratory pathogens, and then the big focus is gonna be some data that I recommend. So overall, looking at the respiratory pathogens in Jefferson County, this is kind of the layout, obviously. Hold on, how do there we go. Obviously you can see a spike during where normal flu season would be during the colder months. It's with June, May, and we're still low levels, which is expected. All right, influenza, we're still, so for May, we had a little bit of a spike in our influenza numbers. We're back down into those low levels though with minimal activity level, but we did have a spike at the beginning of May that I just wanted to kind of note today. COVID-19, we're still completely green, so low levels, low community levels, just like the majority of the counties in the US right now. But the big thing that I wanted to talk about today was environmentally linked disease cases in Jefferson County. And we're going to be looking at 2018 to 2022. And we're going to be looking at that compared to Healthy People 2030 objectives. And I'll kind of break all of that down before we get into the data. So the main 5 diseases we're going to be looking at today is Campylobacter, Salmonella, E. coli, hepatitis A, and Shigella. These 5 diseases are diseases that are linked. Specifically, our focus today is food and water. Granted, that's not how you get it every single interaction. You are able to get it outside of that, but that's kind of what our focus is on today. So Campylobacter, you can get it from eating raw or undercooked poultry. Something that touched it either through exposure through whoever's prepping it. And it can also be, it's found in the intestinal tract of animals.
What is it?
It's a bacteria.
And what does it do?
It just causes GI upset, and it's one of our reportable diseases, so we get those cases in, but
Never even heard of it.
yeah, it's actually pretty common. It happens more often than you think. Salmonella, I'm sure everyone's heard of that. It's estimated that 94% of salmonella cases is transmitted by food. My favorite is you can also get it from chickens, so pet chickens. You can get, there's been several outbreaks in the past, such as beef, poultry, milk, eggs, all of that. But one thing you do have to be cautious of is that if you do have backyard chickens, making sure that you clean the outside of the eggs before you use them. So E. coli, you get that through consumption of contaminated food, consumption of unpasteurized milk is a big one, as well as water that has been infected or not disinfected. With hepatitis A, that is can be transmitted through person to person or sexual contact with an infected person. or ingested with contaminated foods such as unpeeled, uncooked fruits and vegetables, shellfish, or unsafe water. Shigella this can happen through person-to-person contact and sexual contact as well as ingestion of contaminated food, and kind of the same as hepatitis, uncooked fruits and vegetables, shellfish.
And what is it? What does it do?
So
What symptoms?
it's, all of these are GI related, so it's, you get it through the consumption of food, so it causes kind of the same amount of symptoms, diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, all this good stuff.
Yeah, so it's, these are all different bacteria that cause these various.
Yeah,
Okay,
and so that's.
same symptoms.
Yeah. And so talking about Healthy People 2030, so that's something that the goal of Healthy People 2030 is to attain healthy, thriving lives and well-being, free of preventable disease, disability, injury, and premature death. So it identifies public health priorities across the US and aims to improve them by setting goals and objectives. So what we're looking at today with our data specifically is we're going to look at the Jefferson County numbers as well as the Healthy People 2030 baseline. So this baseline is reliable data that from currently established nationally represented data. So they get an average for the nation, and then they use that as a kind of a baseline number. And then the Healthy People 2030 target number is going to be what they want to bring that down to. And so you'll kind of see what I'm talking about on the next slide. So for Campylobacter cases, the blue line is for Jefferson County. So you can kind of see where that is. The green line is the target goal. So that's where Healthy People 2030 wants us to be. And then the baseline is the orange line up top. So that's kind of the national average that they came up through looking at different databases. So you can see that out of the 5 years that we looked at, 4 of them were below the target, which is great. We did have a spike in 2019. But yeah, so this is just a kind of a general layout for a Campylobacter. Obviously, we don't have this year's numbers, but we'll see how that goes. And looking at Salmonella, it's the same thing. So while we have had a pretty steady number of cases of Salmonella, it has been below that target level for Healthy People 2030. So with E. coli cases, we were above the baseline level and the target level in 2018, but after in 2019, it dropped drastically, and we were under both of them. And then we were above the baseline, and then we tripled back down to being.
How in the world do you have E. coli spike in 2020?
So,
We were at home.
so the numbers are the numbers of reported cases. And so this isn't just any E. coli, it's specific strains that are especially dangerous.
Gotcha.
So lots of us could have E. coli in our water or other coliforms, maybe not E. coli species, but many people, and this is throughout all of these, an issue of there are millions of cases of foodborne illness in the US yearly, but they do not all warrant a doctor's visit or get tested with laboratory tests. And one of the reasons is that's hundreds of dollars extra. So most often the doctor will say, well, let's just wait and see if you get better. And most of these do get better in most people, but some of these that may go away in a couple of days in a healthy person, in someone with a weakened immune system, and everybody, unfortunately, if they have a normal immune system, they don't know in 6 months from now that they won't, or autoimmune disease or cancer or something, end up being immune suppressed. So some of these people end up in the hospital with sepsis, overwhelming infection, or dying from these. Another problem with some of them, especially the Shigella we'll get to, is there are more antibiotic resistant cases, so the usual antibiotics aren't working. But one problem with these numbers is we don't know what the true number is. We know what's reported. And some communities, some states are making bigger efforts to try and get people to report whether they're sick. That's to inform us about restaurant inspections, should we be looking closer at something? It's not just restaurant or grocery stores, but then who their supplier is, and that's something we want. So we've actually had an outbreak recently. Last year in the state, there was only one outbreak, meaning several cases linked to one source. And it's not that there was just one case last year in West Virginia, it's just the underreporting. So we need a lot of increased attention to the foodborne illness because it's a problem. You look at, especially in disasters, you look at what happened and suddenly there's cholera everywhere. It's just there, you don't have the mechanism for dealing with it. So.
Yeah. And just going off of that, a lot of the people that I speak to, like they've had symptoms for several weeks, even months before they see something. They're like, yeah, it just wasn't fixing itself, so decided to come in. And so there are groups of people that are just get better on their own. And obviously if that's able to happen, then great, but sometimes people need extra boost. Hepatitis A, we started at a little above one case, above the baseline and target, then drastically in 2020. And then kind of leveled back out to normal levels. We're not exactly sure what caused that large spike, but it is something that we noted in the data. And then Shigella doesn't actually have the Healthy People 2020 or 2030. It's not a focus there, but I just wanted to include these numbers as well, just to see kind of the cases trend. We were about 1.5 in 2018, and then a steady decline. And then once we hit 2020, it's kind of averaged out and stayed at that level. So, and that's it.
Looks like Jefferson County is in pretty good shape regarding to your big five.
I would think we say it is something that like not only you can get through food, there is a lot of different ways you can get it. And it's there, so it's not something that we can ever really get rid of. But as long as people take the proper precautions, it should be something that's completely manageable.
The report, it seems to be good news to me.
Could I jump in just 1 second before Dr. Reedy starts? I'm technically on vacation and I'm on my phone. So I'm maybe going through a place here that I might lose you. I'm just letting you know I'm not like dropping you, but my phone might drop you. So I'll try to contact you back. Okay.
Thanks, Nathan.
So not big changes in the past month. The last week, this is Clean Air Week.
Seriously?
Yeah.
We have on our website a link to
Canadians
the,
didn't get the memo.
to the last week was
Sorry.
Donut Day. Last Friday was National Donut Day, so
It's also very.
didn't get that memo either. So we have on our website a link to the air quality map, and I have given you each some interpretations of it. We did have several calls from daycares and parks yesterday about what is it safe to do. And these two guides are the most useful. You can read and read and read and be more confused the more you read. This simplifies it really well. So yesterday we were up much of the afternoon to the unhealthy level for everyone. And so that, watching the news, what's happening in New York, you'd say, gosh, we got a shelter in place and all that. And so what is the guidance? And especially with the prediction that it would clear out. So today we're back down to yellow. Just a half hour ago, we're in the yellow. So that's, as you can see on the particle pollution map, so 51 to 100. I think it's parts per million. And so you can do things. Unusually sensitive is mostly children, elderly, or other people who have asthma or other problems that they know will be worsened. So yesterday during the afternoon and even morning, it was considered unhealthy for everybody. So for all our activities, you could still do them. You just want to take breaks and do less intense activity. So one of the questions was, could someone have an outdoor concert with sitting? You know, so I guess it depends on what concert. So it's going to be symphony. That's probably fine. You know, I guess unless you're the tuba player, so it comes down to the individual person's activity. But so we were right on the edge of this, that it was purple, where all outdoor activities we were scheduling. So a lot of the Baltimore Washington metropolitan area, part of yesterday was in the purple. That's something we've not really dealt with much before, but it is something that we will, if this happens again, we'll probably have a bigger presence on the website about it. The drought now, we've not yet been having reports of failures. Our sanitarians are going to be just kind of keeping their, and I mean, there are always some people whose well no longer, it goes dry, but it's a concern, because a lot of our population is on private wells, individual wells, and then there are other larger groups that have their own wells, the schools or whatever. So that is a vulnerability that we want to be try and be a step or two ahead so that we will know what to do. That's all of my report for today.
Thank you.
Quickly, don't want to take up too much time. So this is board member appointment month. The terms end on June 30th of every year and they're all staggered. All 5 board members are have staggered terms. So quick review of the rules. The simple rules under chapter 16. These are the pertinent rules. No more than 2 members who reside in the same municipal ward may be appointed. No more than 2 members may be appointed who are personally licensed, certified in, engaged in, or actively participating in the same business, profession, or occupation can occupy the board. And no more than 3 members of a municipal board of health or county board of health may belong to the same political party. So if you have any changes or anything like that occurs, please notify the county commission so that they know going forward what availability there'll be for political parties or businesses or any of those things. So if your business changes or your party affiliation changes or your address changes, those are important for the county commission to know so that they appoint people who are within the rules and that the board stays within the rules. Other than that, I don't have much else to say.
Thank you.
Except that the financials will be better in June. I was not happy with May either.
Yeah.
So we have only one board member who's up this year, and that's Ann.
Yep.
All right, so our next meeting is July 14th. I think I'm out of town that week, but I'll be on virtually, I think, but I'll let you know for sure. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Well, those in favor say aye. Aye.
Did the record time, 1:39?
I think it is.
27 minutes was the fastest with July of last year. Yep.
Are we still posting these?
Always. This will be posted on Monday or Tuesday at the latest.
You can stop.